Okay,
But
if your wife has a coke issue, right, has an issue with cocaine, why would you leave her alone to watch your 3-year-olds
no,
with
I'm saying I said when I first met her, and she only did it
Okay.
once. And I actually have text messages in California where I found out she did it, and I was extremely angry. And I wasn't like, like the abusive as you alleged. And actually, her response is notable. I was just like, no, I consider you doing drugs like cheating, is what I
So,
ended up saying.
quick
And
question. She
she
did
ended up saying she would wanted to shoot herself because I was upset.
she did cocaine one time in Massachusetts that you
No,
know
in
of?
California that I know of.
One time? And
That I
I
know
mean,
of.
look, I do not condone cocaine use, and I've actually personally never tried it, only because I was told that I would love it and I like it too much. But would you consider a one-time use a serious coke problem?
No, no, no. But I was saying, she the thing I was upset about that time is she didn't tell me about it and I found out from somebody else talking about it.
So you were mad she didn't share.
No, no. Well, that she did it at all. That she didn't call me, and then she also it was while she was trimming. It was while she was on a farm with a bunch of like there was Mexicans and stuff. I don't know. I mean, like,
So you're worried about her doing cocaine around Hispanic people?
you're gonna have to read the book to understand.
Okay. When does your book come out?
Probably right around the new year.
Okay. So so you drop her off in Massachusetts, right, in a bad area, and,
Not the worst, not like Holyoke or anything,
and
but
then what happens?
well, so okay. So I end up coming to visit for Christmas, and I fly in, and it was actually an event to leave to. I had two rental cars at the time. One that was snowed in on a mountain, one at the airport, and then I was only in for like a week, and we were looking at buying a house up in Maine, so I drove up to Maine on like the first day I was back, and I get back, and then so the event, um, like 36 hours beforehand, me and her went out to dinner, and the only one home was our dog, and our dog was an 80-pound puppy, mastiff, and there was when we
What was
got
its
back,
name?
Luna.
Luna.
And when we got back, there was a big metal cabinet that was down on the ground, and there was
Hmm.
glass broken initially, and I believe there was treats on top of it, and the cabinet had only been there about a week, but
Wait, when you both first got home,
there was a big metal cabinet on the ground, yeah, and the only one home was our dog.
I'm confused because what what she is saying is that she was that you had an altercation and then you you injured the dog. Like it and then broke the cabinet.
All right, so let's get into that. Well, then broke the cabinet. So there was a big metal cabinet. That
Okay.
when we said I couldn't have broke a metal cabinet. It was big and
Well
heavy.
then what could have?
No, I'm saying the dog knocked it over. It was only put up on an unbalanced. It wasn't put in a very safe spot. And it obviously because it fell over, and so and it was only there for like a week. So she put it there, or somebody put it there, and it just wasn't a good spot. And I assumed dog treats were on top or whatnot, and our dog must have went for it and knocked it over.
But
And the
but
reason why, okay,
this does
now
not address her claim of
now let me get to that.
okay.
So that was 36 hours before. In the in between day, I took our dog out for walks, and she was like limping, and I actually carried her in, and actually all our neighbors seen it too. That's besides the point. But then on the uh, sorry, I got distracted. Um,
It happens to me too. So
on
you
the
were
day.
walking the dog
Yeah,
on
okay, no, no, no.
clean
So
days.
then,
Your neighbor saw it. It was limping.
yes. So then on the day of, my I woke up in the morning and my ex, she started getting, she was manic real quick. She got angry over something. I'll describe it in the book in detail, but I was just like, I'm done with it. She fought the day before too, where I was like out in the cold for over an hour while she was screaming, and or like she was just unwilling to calm down. And so I told her, I'm like, I'm over this. I'm like, it's done is done. And I actually have text messages proving that I was the one that broke up with her, too, by the way. But either way, so then on the day of, she was blocking me from leaving. And I was trying to leave over and over again. And
And
at
you can
some
send me anything you want, and then I'll go ahead and put it on the screen. So, like, if you want
uh
to send me those text messages that you just mentioned, anything you want for evidence, I could put up on the screen.
okay, well, hold on. Let's get through it real quick. So, um so on that day, so then our heads end up meeting, and which may or may not have caused the black eye. I do not know. And the reason why, and then, um, here's the interesting part. So I end up leaving there at 9:30 in the morning, and then at yeah, I'll have you do that later. I actually have a video with all the evidence, which I can end up putting up after. You can put a
I mean,
link to it.
actually, we have two producers in the background, and one of them is going to put up the if we could have the dog stuff on the background whenever you get the chance to it. So yeah, so this is the veterinarian.
All right. Well, hold on. Let me actually real quick on this story where I'll tell you why this
Okay.
is irrelevant. So on that morning, I ended up leaving at 9:30 a.m. and she ended up she we texted back and forth for hours, and then it wasn't until 12:30, 1 o'clock that she ended up calling and saying, "Hey, Luna is not walking." And then I ended up cruising over, and then she took the car that I drove to the vet while I watched Luna, which while I watched Lila, our daughter. And then and then she comes back. Well, anyways, and then when she comes back, she was pretending like she didn't know anything about the police. And then at 5 o'clock is when I ended up finding out that she was accusing me of this. And so the idea is that she ended up telling the cops that our dog was limping right when she came back in. Supposedly I headbutt her and beat the dog or whatever. But that does not make sense
Mm-hmm.
because for 3.5 hours, she was texting me. She even said I was the nicest guy in the world. Now, why would she be?
Yeah, but that's a sign. Like, that's a really common sign in abusive. Not saying that you are, but I'm just saying it's a common sign in abusive relationships for men to be abusive and then to do this what they call like a love phase, and then they like try to woo the person back, so they like overshower them in love, and then once they get
No,
the person back,
she's
then
like,
they become abusive
I
again.
end up
So it's like
saying,
a cyclical
I end up
thing.
going, there's no reason to be afraid of me. And she goes, I'm not afraid
Right.
of you. And she told the DCF lady that the reason why she did not contact the police is because A, she was not afraid of me, and B, because she was most worried about getting help for the dog, which doesn't make sense because we were talking for 3.5 hours.
Mm.
So before she said anything about the dog. So that story just does not make sense. And then the other thing is she lied to the police and DCF about the cabinet. And then she only started telling the truth about the cabinet because I ended up showing a picture of it. So that's the other thing. Why lie about the cabinet if she didn't do it? If she was innocent, if she wasn't trying to frame me, why would she lie about the big metal cabinet? Which, of course, at this deposition in April 15th, she ended up admitting the cabinet existed because she knows I have a picture of it. And that's why she pled the fifth. And that's the other thing about your turtle boy story
Well,
is at the day
hold
of.
up. The reason that people are saying that she pled the fifth, and I'm going to give you a chance because I want to give you a chance to explain yourself. People are saying that because she was involved in the cannabis industry, you were, and she could potentially be in trouble because cannabis was not as legalized at the time, and she could potentially face felonies, that you were threatening her saying, hey, if you testify, then I will call DCF and the police and make sure that you won't be able to continue to have
And
custody over our daughter.
and
So
this is
she's
how
saying
insane
that.
that is. See, the
Okay.
thing is on that day, she ended up putting on Facebook, she said that she
She
was
was so
excited to
excited.
testify.
Yeah.
And then on the day of, so she shows up, and then a Fifth Amendment attorney who had seen everything that the DA had seen, because it's all evidence in there, ended up showing her what the ADA had seen and said, you should plead the fifth because it showed that I was innocent. Why
How do you
would
know
I have?
that?
Well, how, does it make sense that I gave the ADA evidence that suggested that I was a drug dealer? Does that make
No,
sense?
it would make sense that you would privately message her the day of trial, which is
That
what's
sounds
being
even
alleged.
crazier. That's what the
Where,
obvious witness intimidation.
Exactly, which is what's being alleged.
By
Whereas
who?
it makes less sense for you to know the
Who's
content
alleging
of it.
this?
Hold on. It makes less sense for you to know the contents of a conversation between her and her lawyer, because those conversations are privileged.
I did not talk to her. It doesn't even make sense. There was, if there was evidence that I talked to her on the day of trial, I'm sure they would have used that. But no, she tested. You can see the evidence later. I'll post the video. And it's just the thing is her story didn't make sense. It did not make sense that for 3.5 hours our dog was laying there hurt, and she was busy talking to me, discussing about all sorts of other things.
Let's pull up the report again, because you're saying that you're going to talk about why the report is not necessary to even look at.
Yeah, okay, fine. Go ahead. Show me what you think is so relevant.
But the report is saying that from my understanding, that the drawer could not have caused
Where?
the injury. Okay.
I guarantee it doesn't say that.
I have to bring my face so close to camera to read this. 10 month summary of, let's scroll down. It's not on that page, so we need to go to the pages in which the highlighted material is on.
Yeah, I'm looking for stuff.
Okay, Waters stated that he was trying to leave and did not mean to hurt Cardin, and stated, I know I fucked up. What does that mean?
Yeah, that was, oh man, he's gonna get something off that. No, he twisted my words when he showed up to the door when that and I asked what the charges were, and he said what the charges were, and then I go, oh, that's fucked up. And then he said something else, and he twisted my words again, and I pointed that out, and I'm just like, all right, whatever. I plead I said, I think I said I want a lawyer, and didn't say anything after that. But it was just like, yeah, so I only said like 10 words, and he twisted the few words I said. Which he also he lied about my bail. He said that it was only 2,500. He said it was 25,000, and that's because I had 2,300 on me. He stole 300 too. There was I had $2,000 in hundreds in one pocket,
okay,
and then
what about
I
the
had
bruise
300.
on your girlfriend's face? So hold on.
It's possible.
Hold on. The police show. This is what was seen. So the police show up to your house. They find your girlfriend with a bruise on her face, and they find the dog dead. And the veterinarian is saying, "Can you please look for the quote by the vet where it says that it was done by a stone?"
I believe she said blunt force is what she said. But the thing is how do you know that's not a cabinet? I mean, it's just it's insane to even think that it was me, especially
What
when all the
kind
other
of
evidence
cabinet?
suggests
Can
it's
you
not.
explain this? Do you have a picture of this cabinet?
A piece of it.
And
It's
so
got
if a
hurt.
cabinet fell on the dog, instantly breaking its back, wouldn't the dog be found under the cabinet?
It's got a picture of Sam's. I don't know. I'm not sure I should pop this up right now. I'll end up popping up an edited photo later of it. Yeah, I do have a picture of the cabinet. But it's got a picture of Sam's butt in it, so I gotta edit it.
Hold on. Given, oh, okay. Based on the information of this mixed breed suffered blunt force trauma, which caused the pararetinal bleeding into the abdomen, and the traumatic herniation. I think that's like the interbradal disc, not consistent with natural disease or with an accidental fall.
Yeah, the dog didn't fall. A cabinet fell on her.
But you weren't there when the police arrived, right?
Correct. I had left like 15 minutes earlier. And the dog she brought the dog to the vet in the car that I brought to her.
So then
and it
how,
wasn't,
if you weren't there, then how do you know that a cabinet fell on it?
that was 36 hours beforehand. And so on the day of, I
So
left
you
at
left a dead
8:30.
dog
I left
in
either
your
8:30
house
or
for 36
what?
hours?
No, my goodness. No, she was 36 hours before we went out to dinner. When we came back, there was a cabinet on the ground. The next day, it was freezing outside. We brought our dog outside because it was like New Year's Eve, or I brought her out for walks, and twice she started like limping in the in-between day. And I ended up carrying her back in, and we like looked for splinters. We didn't know what was wrong. But
So
it
you're
was
saying the cabinet fell on her 36 hours before she died?
correct. And it was actually the vet put her down. The vet actually, because she was in back pain.
Sorry, I'm just grabbing a charger here. Okay.
So, and
But
it is, if you
okay.
look up spinal injuries, it does that. They can progress like that, where like once it starts, it can take a while for it to settle in and for the injury to like progress and get
And you
worse.
never found the dog under the cabinet, though. You just found a
Correct.
turned over cabinet, and then you found that your dog was later limping. So you connected the two.
That was what made sense. Yeah. And actually, we discussed it. Actually, we even discussed it in the jail phone calls. We discussed the cabinet being on the ground, which that was the other thing is she lied about the cabinet existing, and that's why she couldn't testify. Is because she lied about the cabinet existing. She said that my story was not true because there was no cabinet, but in the jail phone calls, we specifically talked about the cabinet on the ground. So that was why her story just made no sense at all. It was just like
Okay.
obvious that she was trying to frame me.
Well, I think you really got to say your piece right now, and she has said her piece, and I think people will be able to look at both sides and at least come to the conclusion that they agree with now, because I don't think your side was stated before.
I appreciate that. And I'm going to post a link. I don't know why I've been maybe self-conscious about publishing the video or whatnot, or maybe I just don't want her harassed. But I'll publish the link with all the evidence probably tomorrow, I guess.